It was the key to understanding Egyptian hieroglyphics.
So these warriors are all life-sized, like real soldiers.
Ever wondered what secrets lie beneath the ancient ruins discovered all around the world?
Those mutations are actually totally alien to us.
From the Nazca Lines to the clay soldiers of the Terracotta army, these finds are more astonishing than any fiction.
What appear to be human encounters with dinosaurs.
So join us as we explore the top 20 greatest archaeological discoveries that baffle even the brightest minds. Number 1. The Crystal Skulls. Starting off strong with one of the most mysterious archaeological finds of all time, the Crystal Skulls. In the early 19th century, scientists discovered around a dozen carved skulls made of clear and milky white quartz that made them question everything. Their origin has ever since been the subject of ongoing mystery and topic of debate. These date back thousands or even tens of thousands of years to ancient Mesoamerican civilizations such as the Aztec, Toltec, Mixtec, or Maya. Now, if the crystal skulls are ringing a bell, you might have seen them in the 2008 Indiana Jones movie that was based on the bizarre discovery. Ancient civilizations were big on skulls, and it is said that the 13 original skulls took over 100 years to form. It doesn't end here. Many believe that these skulls contained magical powers to increase a person's psychic ability in their presence and have healing properties. Some of these have even been linked to the lost city of Atlantis, but we'll get into more of that later, as this list is only going to get more interesting. Number 2. Pompei. Imagine going on about your day, a summer day like any other in this seemingly stable world, and then bam, an unexpected catastrophe wipes you out. Amongst one of the greatest ruins of the world lies the Roman city of Pompei, which was completely destroyed and buried under ashes in the year 79 AD. While not a single soul survived, the city ruins remained perfectly intact and were rediscovered by scientists in the mid-18th century. Now, when I say perfectly intact, I really mean it, because people were frozen in place where they, during the disaster, and bakeries still had loaves in the oven. Today, it's one of Italy's most famous tourist attractions and the ultimate source of Roman history. If you want to polish up your Roman Empire knowledge, book a trip to Pompeii, because it's taught us more about Roman life than many other ancient archaeology sites anywhere in the world. Number 3. Naxos. While we're on the topic of ancient cities, this one will surely leave you mind-blown. Naxos was discovered in 1878 on the Greek island of Crete and is regarded as the oldest city in Europe. That's saying something. It was the capital of the legendary King Minos and the principal center of the Minoan, the earliest of the Aegean civilizations. The first human inhabitants of Naxos probably came there from Anatolia in the 7th millennium BCE and established an agricultural society based on wheat and livestock raising. The site features a massive palace that is regarded as one of the best tourist attractions in the area. The ancient site was unearthed by Sir Arthur Evans and is considered one of the best archaeological discoveries of our time. Number 4. The Inca Stones. The Inca Stones were brought to public attention in the 1960s by Dr. Javier Cabrera, a Peruvian physician who received one as a birthday gift. They originate from the Ica province in Peru, and there are more than 20,000 individual stones in the collection. The stones are composed of grey andesite, and they vary considerably in size, from very small to boulders over half a meter across. So what is so bizarre about these stones that made scientists around the world lose sleep? These ancient stones from Peru are engraved with very detailed advanced procedures like heart transplants and brain surgeries, which would have been impossible for the ancient civilizations to even know of. That's not even the craziest part about them. These stones also depict dinosaurs and lead to controversial claims about the coexistence of humans and dinosaurs. If you believe modern science is the answer to all, there's plenty of proof that ancient civilizations were far more advanced than us. I mean, achieving what we are today without all the modern tech says a lot about them. Number 5. The Atacama Skeleton. Well, this discovery was bigger than any when it comes to celestial beings. The Atacama Skeleton, also known as Ata, was discovered in 2003 in the Atacama Desert of Chile by Oscar Munoz. Now, discovering mummies and skeletons is no big deal, but there was something so eerie about this skeleton that has baffled the minds of the greatest archaeologists for all times to come. The skeleton is notably small and measures around 15 centimeters. It has a humanoid shape, but this is where it gets crazy. It has several unusual features, including an elongated skull, large eye sockets, and fewer ribs than a typical human, 10 pairs instead of the usual 12. Ata has sparked widespread speculation and interest, and many scientists have suggested it could be the remains of an alien, a human-alien hybrid, or a previously unknown species. Ata's skeleton is still the source of mystery for many. Number 6. Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered between 1947 and 1956 in 11 caves near the ancient settlement of Qumran, situated on the northwest shore of the Dead Sea. These are some of the oldest Abrahamic religious texts in existence and consist of approximately 981 different texts, including biblical manuscripts, sectarian manuscripts, and other religious writings. These scrolls are mostly written in Hebrew, with some texts in Aramaic and Greek. So what's in the Dead Sea Scrolls, you may ask? Well, it contains the earliest known copies of the Hebrew Bible. They've allowed historians and theologians to understand the history of Judaism and the context of early Christianity and chart the development of the Bible correctly. Number 7. Terracotta Army. Imagine it's the 1970s and you're going on about your day digging a well in Lintong District, Xi'an, Shaanxi Province, China, when you stumble open a clay soldier, only to find out there's a whole terracotta army waiting to see the light of the day for the past 2,000 years. There's no denying that the Terracotta Army is one of the greatest archaeological finds of the 20th century, and the history behind it only adds icing to the cake. The magnificent clay army is made of over 8,000 soldiers, 130 chariots with 520 horses, and 150 cavalry horses. This army was meant to protect Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, in the afterlife. The most bizarre part about all of this is that each terracotta figure is unique, with distinct facial features, expressions, and hairstyles. The soldiers vary in height, uniform, and rank, almost similar to Qin Shi Huang's real army. The Terracotta Army is now a major tourist attraction, and you can have a look for yourself if you ever need notes on how to build clay soldiers to protect you in the afterlife, or if you want to look at some good historical artifacts. The choice is yours. Number 8. Cleopatra's Tomb. Cleopatra's Tomb is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of ancient history. It's 2024, and scientists still don't have answers. Cleopatra is infamous for her irresistible charm, political strategy, and intellect. She remains one of the most influential females in ancient history. Not only was she widely known for being the lover of the great Julius Caesar, but was the most famous and last queen of Egypt. Love's tragic, and Cleopatra had to marry Mark Antony. Well, I guess love triangles existed 2,000 years ago. The goddess of healing and magic took her own life with the bite of a poisonous snake to escape being captured by Rome. However, of all the mysteries and legends that continue to surround Cleopatra, the greatest is the location of her tomb. The ancient historian Plutarch wrote that Cleopatra and Mark Antony were buried together in a tomb in Alexandria, the capital of Ptolemaic Egypt. Countless historians and archaeologists have searched in vain to find her resting place, yet her remains are still a mystery. Number 9. Machu Picchu. There's no denying that Machu Picchu is one of the most beautiful archaeological finds ever. This iconic site is located in the Andes Mountains of Peru near the city of Cusco. It was built in the mid-15th century and is a remnant of the great Inca civilization. Although it was known by the locals, it was brought to international attention by American historian Hiram Bingham, who discovered the site in 1911. The ruins of Machu Picchu make it one of the most visited tourist destinations in the world, and its most important attraction is the Inca Trail, which is a multi-day hike leading up to the site. However, the mystery remains. Why was it abandoned? How important was it to the Inca Empire? Number 10. Stonehenge. Stonehenge is one of the most famous prehistoric monuments in the world, but before it became a major tourist site, it was an archaeologist's dream come true. The discovery of Stonehenge as a significant archaeological site dates back to the 17th century. English antiquarian John Aubrey was among the first to discover the monument in Wiltshire, England, formally and document Stonehenge in the 17th century. However, its purpose remained a big mystery. In the 19th century, more systematic excavations and studies were conducted at Stonehenge. The ring of megalithic stones was built approximately 4,000 years ago, and that's about all archaeologists know for sure. It could have been built for any purpose, from an astronomical observatory to a religious temple of healing. I guess we'll never know. Number 11. Tutankhamens Tomb. There's no place like Egypt when it comes to artifacts of ancient history. Everything about the ancient empire is fascinating to this day, and it never gets old. The Valley of the Kings was the final resting place for many ancient Egyptian pharaohs, each with their lavish tombs. However, most of these tombs fell victim to grave robbers. I mean, who doesn't want ancient gold? Luckily, Tutankhamun's tomb is an exception, and most of its artifacts are still intact. British archaeologist Howard Carter discovered this ancient tomb in 1922 on the west bank of the River Nile. Since this tomb was untouched for the most part, it offered a rare view into ancient Egypt and its faith, culture, and funerary rites. Thanks to his gilded mask, Tutankhamun is one of the most famous and recognizable pharaohs in history. It's quite the legacy, since he only got to rule for 10 years and died between the young ages of 18 and 19. Along with the mask, the tomb also contained a dagger made from a fallen meteor, a statue of Anubis, and the god of the dead. Quite the find, I must say. Number 12. Gobekli Tepe. While Egypt has some of the world's oldest civilizations and their ruins, Turkey is sure as heck not too far behind. Klaus Schmidt, a German archaeologist, made one of the most startling archaeological discoveries of our time in an ancient city in southeastern Turkey, 6 miles from Urfa. What looked like just an ancient collection of massive carved stones was so much more than that. Now, most historians believe that humans settled into permanent towns, farmed, and then built temples starting in 8000 BC. But this discovery changed everything. The Gobekli Tepe contains rocks and pillars that date back to the 10th millennium BC. So there's no denying that this is one of the oldest places of worship. Because of Gobekli Tepe, archaeologists now have to ask which came first. Did building projects like this lead to settlement and not vice versa, as always thought? Number 13. The oldest footprints in North America. Scientists believed that the oldest footprints found in North America were the ones in British Columbia, Canada, that dated back about 13,000 years. But oh, were they wrong. That record was shattered by New Mexico in 2021 when archaeologists working in New Mexico's White Sands National Park unearthed tracks that are between 21,000 and 23,000 years old. That's almost double the previous record. This implied that early inhabitants and megafauna coexisted for several millennia before the terminal Pleistocene extinction event. Not only this, but this game-changing discovery completely changed the understanding of early North American settlement. It suggests that humans may have arrived earlier than previously thought, and that changes everything. Well, there's still a lot to uncover about the history of North America, so sit tight as scientists make more groundbreaking discoveries. Number 14. Shroud of Turin. There's no archaeological discovery more debated than the Shroud of Turin, which is believed to be Jesus Christ's burial shroud. Yeah, you've been living under a rock if you don't know about this one. Now, this piece of cloth has traces of blood, as well as the darkened imprint of a man's body. So what makes historians think it belongs to Jesus? Well, legend says the shroud was transported from Judea, now southern Palestine, to Edessa, Turkey, and later to Constantinople, and that it dates back to 3033 AD. These claims were simply just claims until scientists got their hands on the shroud in the 1980s and tried determining its real age using radiocarbon dating. They determined that the alleged burial cloth of Jesus was actually created between AD 1260 and AD 1390, and the cloth was medieval forgery. However, critics debated that the scientists may have dated newer portions of the shroud that were stitched together centuries after Jesus' death. It still remains one of the most controversial archaeological finds, so it had to make it to our list. Number 15. The Great Pyramids. Now, it can't really be a list of the 20 greatest archaeological discoveries of all time without the mention of the Great Pyramids. No matter how much you hear about them or see them, they'll always remain the most significant discoveries ever. There's a lot that scientists have uncovered about the Great Pyramids, but that doesn't mean there's nothing left to uncover. These triangular monuments were built over 5,000 years ago, yet scientists are still trying to figure out how they were constructed without modern machinery. Not only this, but the alignment of pyramids also often had astronomical significance, with some structures oriented towards cardinal directions or celestial events. There's still so much left to unveil, and archaeologists are still discovering new tunnels and shafts built within the pyramids. Guess we'll always keep hearing about them, and I don't know about you, but I'm not complaining. Number 16. The Copper Scroll Treasure. If you've been wanting to go on a treasure hunt and live out your Indiana Jones dreams, the Copper Scroll Treasure has got it all written down for you. The Copper Scroll was found at the site of Qumran in 1952, alongside the Dead Sea Scrolls. Here's a mystery I'd like to solve. These scrolls describe a massive amount of hidden gold and silver, but no one knows where the treasure might be. This one really has the historians scratching their heads. It dates back nearly 2,000 years to a time when the Roman Empire controlled the Qumran settlement. It is believed that the locals hid the treasure to keep it out of the hands of Roman forces during the area's frequent revolts against the empire. If you want to become an overnight billionaire, finding this treasure is exactly what you should be doing, because it's still out there. Or is it? Number 17. The Library of Ashurbanipal. The Library of Ashurbanipal was housed in the Assyrian royal palace at Nineveh, located near present-day Mosul in Iraq. Iraq has always been the center of education, so it's no surprise that the most precious source of historical material in the world is located there. This library was discovered in the mid-19th century by British archaeologist Austen Henry Layard and later by Hormuzd Rassam. Now, of course, there were no paperbacks in a library 2,600 years old, but there were over 30,000 cuneiform tablets and fragments, making it one of the largest and most comprehensive collections of its time. The library contained a vast collection of texts covering a wide range of subjects, including literature, religious rituals, administrative records, scientific treatises, legal codes, and historical inscriptions. They contain a lot of valuable information. The artifacts and tablets from the Library of Ashurbanipal are now preserved in various museums and institutions around the world, including the British Museum in London and the Iraq Museum in Baghdad. Number 18. The Nazca Lines. Not all great archaeological discoveries were made with a shovel and a whole lot of digging. From the ground, the Nazca Lines of Peru are nothing extraordinary, but they truly shine when looked at from the air. These ancient designs were first spotted by commercial aircraft in the 1920s and 30s on the arid coastal plain of the Nazca Desert in southern Peru and cover an area of approximately 450 square kilometers. These enormous shapes were made 2,000 years ago by people of the pre-Inca Nazca culture by simply removing the red surface pebbles to reveal the lighter earth below in designs of their choice. The pre-Inca people were quite the artists, because these lines not only depict geometrical shapes, but also complicated depictions of animals, plants, and imaginary figures. Scientists and archaeologists are unaware as to why these lines were created. However, some suggest that they had something to do with alien landings and ancient astrology. Number 19. Atlantis. I'm sure you saw this one coming. How can I possibly leave off the lost city of Atlantis from my list? It would be a crime, wouldn't it? Now, if you're ready to believe every claim, the lost city of Atlantis has been discovered in the Bahamas, the Greek islands, Cuba, and even Japan. It was first described in the writings of the Greek historian Plato in 360 BC. The mythological island is said to be a great naval power before sinking into the sea over 10,000 years ago in a catastrophic event. A lot of archaeologists debate the existence of Atlantis because so far it simply only exists in the writings of Plato. But you never know, it can be discovered any day now. Until then, we're allowed to have our imaginations run wild. Some modern interpretations suggest Atlantis could have been located in various places, including the Mediterranean Sea, the Caribbean, or even Antarctica. But again, you never know. Number 20. The Rosetta. The Rosetta Stone still remains one of the greatest discoveries of our time, as it is the sole key to deciphering ancient Egypt's complex hieroglyphics. The Rosetta Stone was discovered in 1799 by French soldiers during Napoleon Bonaparte's military campaign in Egypt. For years and years, historians had been trying to decipher Egyptian hieroglyphics but had absolutely no idea. The discovery of the Rosetta Stone changed everything. The stone bears an inscription in 3 scripts: Egyptian hieroglyphs at the top, Demotic script in the middle, and Greek at the bottom. Now the text it contained isn't interesting at all, but by using the Greek writings on it, archaeologists and historians were able to decipher the hieroglyphs and unlock the secrets of ancient Egyptian writing. And that's all for today. So how many of these discoveries did you find fascinating? Let us know in the comments below. See you in the next one. Goodbye.